Hello, I am Melissa Klein, Open Source Program Manager at Fermyon. In this video, I will show you how to configure dynamic variables and secrets for your Spin application, deploy them on Fermyon Cloud, and then update them via the CLI. If you'd like to follow along with this demonstration, you'll need Spin 1.3 installed and be logged into the Fermyon Cloud. If you need help with either of those steps, you should check out Fermyon Cloud Quick Start at developer.fermyon.com/cloud/quickstart. We'll also be using the Python SDK for this application. So if you don't already have that installed, you can install it via the Spin plugins command. Okay. During this demonstration, I'm going to create a basic application that receives a password via the HTTP request body and then compares it to an expected password and returns a JSON response. So our first step is to create the app using the spin new command. We're going to use the HTTP py template as our base, and we're going to call the app PW checker. We're going to accept all the defaults. And now the basics of our app are in the PW checker directory. The next step is to go to the editor and make our changes. Now we have our new application opened in our editor. And the first thing we want to do is to add the variable by editing our Spin applications manifest file or spin.toml file. We can do this by adding a variable section at the top level. So right in here, I'm going to put a variable section, and I'm going to call our variable password, since that's what it will be storing. And we'll be setting this to required equals true, since there is no reasonable default value for a password. Okay, the next step is to give the component access to that variable. So down here in this component section, we're going to add a component.config. And in there, we're going to specify again that the password is the name of the variable and the value, and the value will be password from the app. All right, so that's the changes we need in our spin.toml for our dynamic variable. Our next step is to move over to the application code in app.py and add accessing that variable. So as you can see, I've already added the logic for checking the body for the password and comparing it to the expected value. So let's first do an import from the spin config module. We're going to import the config get method. And then down here where we're looking for the expected value, we're going to call that config get method. And we're looking for password. And that's it. So our next step is to build and test. Okay, now let's build and run the application locally, make sure it works. So we're going to run spin build to build it. Great, now we're going to set an environmental variable so that we're using environmental variable provider for that variable. We're going to do that by setting up spin config password, setting that to our password, and then running spin up. Okay, now that that's running, we're just going to do a quick check to make sure that that worked. And our 1, 2, 3 that we sent matches, so we get accepted. So I'm going to stop that process locally. And now that we know it works, we can deploy to cloud. So we're going to do a spin cloud deploy. We're going to use the variable option and set the password equal to 1, 2, 3. So now that's going to run, and it's going to set the initial version of that password to 123. So we're going to just give it a second to deploy. Okay, now it's deployed. Now we're going to send a 123 to that app. And we say that was also accepted. So it matched the 123 password that we set. Okay, so now let's say you want to come back and you want to change your password, but you don't remember what you called it. Well, now we can do a spin cloud variables list command, and we're going to specify the app, which is PW checker. And so now we see that the variable is password. So let's do a spin cloud variables set and set the password equal to 456. And we have to remember to tell it which app to set that for. All right, now we come back. So now the password is set to 456. So let's go and try again with our 123. And now we see that our access was denied. So the variable has been changed to 456 and therefore does not match the 123 that we're sending. And so that is the basics on how you set up a dynamic variable and how you can change it from the CLI after you've deployed your app. Thanks for your attention.